So I just got back from seeing the new Mario movie, whatever the heck it's called, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. What a name. I went to see it with some friends from college, and honestly, I had a pretty good time. I wasn't sure what to expect from this. I have a handful of thoughts, nothing spoilerific. Don't worry, this is gonna be nice, chill, and easy. I'm just gonna offer my 2 cents, and hopefully when you go see it yourself, if you do, you will either agree with me or at least understand where I'm coming from. Again, no spoilers in this. All of the little pictures and stuff you're gonna see on screen are from the trailers that they've released, and it's nothing that groundbreaking. And honestly, there isn't really anything spoilerific in this film other than I would say 1 or 2 sequences which are just so hilarious that I wouldn't want to spoil them because they're just so great when you run into them. So don't worry, I'm not gonna get into any of that stuff. I'm just gonna talk about the movie as I see it, and we'll go from there. Now, first things first, the cast has received a lot of debate and discussion because some of them are very, very easy recommendations and you get why they were cast, such as Jack Black as Bowser. And again, no spoilers, but there are things they do in this movie with Bowser that are just so freaking hilarious, and I never expected that. It almost saves the movie. Like, it almost elevates the movie to like pretty good in my mind. Just these couple of little bits that they had Jack Black do. It's so, so good. But then you look at the castings for Mario, Luigi, and some of the other casts, and it becomes a little bit more of a mixed bag if we're being real, primarily circled around Chris Pratt. Now listen, no hate to the guy. He's getting his bag and is living life. You know, he's an actor and is getting cast in everything. And so why not accept those roles? Like, I can't fault him for it. If I was offered the role of Mario, I would probably take it, even though it makes no sense at all, just like Chris Pratt. But the entire film, I couldn't help but feel as though he just wasn't the best fit for this. He's fine as Mario, but he doesn't really offer anything to this role that anybody else couldn't have. They could have cast The Rock in a cringy way, and it would have been the same exact thing. He brings nothing special to the table at all. Chris Pratt as an actor is really gifted when it comes to like improvising and those dynamic comedic moments that only happen on the fly. And frankly, in an animated voice acted film, that just doesn't happen. It's not a thing because you're in a vocal booth alone reading off text from a script. Maybe you're bouncing off of another actor or actress, but that's really about it. And especially because the voice actor who played Mario through all of the games and everything, he's still alive, he's available, and he's in the film multiple times as an Easter egg that's not so much of an Easter egg. It's more just like, see, are you happy now? We made you happy. We put him in the movie, right? Even though they could have just had him play the role from the beginning for the entire length of it. It's really not that big of a deal, but frankly, Chris Pratt, he doesn't add anything to the movie, and I don't think it's so bad that it diminishes. There are a couple of times when I was like, oh, I'm like picturing Chris Pratt delivering that line and it makes me physically uncomfortable. So I don't know, it's gonna be up to you. A lot of people though will just tune it out and won't even notice. They won't think about it, which is kind of the point. They want you to come to see the movie because it has Chris Pratt's name on it. You recognize that name. And so you come see the movie and then you kind of quickly forget who was cast in what and you just enjoy the ride. Visually, the movie is phenomenal, as you would come to expect from Illumination. And really, in every single frame, every shot, there is something going on. There's a couple of little jokes tucked into every single thing in this movie. And if you watch it through 2, 3, maybe even 4 times, I would not be surprised at all if you start catching more and more little details. Everything from the individual design of things like the Mushroom Kingdom, where you can see characters playing on the ground below, or the moving platforms, or the pipes and how they're all actually interconnected like they would be in a level of the game, to smaller details later like how the carts actually charge up colored sparks based on how long Mario or the driver has been drifting. There's so many great little touches like that all throughout the film that if you've played any games really on any Nintendo console in the past, you're going to pick up on so many of these little Easter eggs throughout the movie. You're going to have a constant smile on your face. And that's really what it's supposed to do. This movie is not supposed to really shake you to your core or have a compelling story that makes you rethink things. This isn't The Last of Us Part 2. This is supposed to be a lighthearted popcorn flick for you to enjoy with your friends or with some kids of yours or grandkids, whatever is going on. It's not meant to be that serious. Honestly, I just found myself thoroughly entertained through the entirety of the film. I was a little shocked at how quickly time was ticking by, but it's because it's just so fast paced and there's so many little things happening all the time. It's actually pretty well balanced and I'm pretty impressed with it, if I'm being real. Like, again, I wouldn't say it's like a good movie, but it's a fun movie. And that's all that really matters with something like this. Like, would I call a movie like Dumb and Dumber good? Probably not, but it's fun. Like, it serves the purpose it set out to serve, which in the case of Dumb and Dumber is just to be like really stupid and make you chuckle a few times and then feel bad for chuckling at something so stupid. And in the case of the Super Mario Brothers movie, it's just supposed to be like a fun trip through nostalgia lane, and as a game fan you're supposed to giggle and chuckle at all the references they're making all over the place. And as somebody that perhaps is not overly familiar with the Mario games or Nintendo titles in general, you're probably going to go through and still have a pretty good time because it's a high quality polished Illumination animation movie and it's pretty good. I will say I went through the Rotten Tomatoes page for the film and immediately you'll see 54% from critics and a 96% audience score, which to me seems about right. Like, I can see how people trying to look at this as a piece of art or film or cinematography might find it a little lacking. But if you're going just to have fun at the movies and not looking for too much more than that, you're going to enjoy it and you're going to have a good time. And you can tell this just by reading the reviews, like this one from Odie Henderson from Boston Globe. This isn't a movie, it's a checklist of fan expectations. I mean, maybe this is just like me being a naive YouTuber and streamer. I don't know. But like, isn't that kind of the point of a lot of these films? Is to check the list of what fans are hoping to see and then maybe toss a few extra things in there? Like, isn't that kind of what you'd want? Instead of like, we know what the fans wanted and we're not doing it. Like, what? Why wouldn't they do it? I get what they're kind of saying. Like, you don't want to make a film based purely off of living up to what people expect. You want to take chances and do something a little bit different. But that's for certain films. And in this case, this film was not trying to do anything that groundbreaking or crazy. It's playing it pretty safe and just trying to offer you a fun adventure. And then some of these reviews straight up look like they were generated in ChatGPT with a prompt that just demands like the most verbose and illustrious language possible. Like this one, the glib literalism with which it applies cinematic narrative to video games' abstractions can't hold a candle to the wrenching pathos and self-discovery of a night on the track with real-life loved ones and Mario in his original medium. I don't even know what the hell that means, but apparently they didn't like it. Like, if you write your review for the Super Mario Brothers movie and it sounds like that, I hate to tell you, this movie was never going to make you happy. Okay, this movie was not made for you. This seems like one of those guys that would go to the mall to see a person dressed as Zaboomafoo at some sort of interactive exhibit about preserving the rainforest, and then he would go on and on about how insufferable this was because the costume was made out of polyester, which isn't sustainable. It's like, dude, we get it. Like, you're probably smart and you probably are richer than I am, but like, sit down, no one cares. I talk a lot in my video game reviews about expectations and trying not to judge a game based off of your expectations, but based on what it is and what the developers were trying to do. In my view, it's unfair to judge a product against some expectation you had, whether that was realistic or not, because maybe the developer's intentions were entirely separate. The exception being when the marketing is intentionally deceptive or miscommunicates what the game is supposed to be, therefore altering your expectations. It's like seeing the movie La La Land and then complaining that the story ended on a bit of a low note. Like, yeah, but like, that's the point of the story. That's what that's what they were trying to do. You don't have to like it, but that's what the goal was, you know? And so it's different. It's not a compelling argument that something sucks because it wasn't what you personally wanted out of it, right? And these reviewers who are complaining that the Super Mario Brothers movie is dispiritingly rote, aside from bursts of weird vitality whenever the film veers into action out of the games. Like, cool, this was not made for you. So if you're approaching it that way, you're gonna have a bad time. I'm just gonna be real with you. However, I think you're probably gonna have a bad time with pretty much every movie that's ever been created. On the other hand, if you're going into the Super Mario Brothers movie just looking to have a fun time at the movies, eating some popcorn with your friends, laughing and giggling at some outrageous stuff that Jack Black does in this film as Bowser, you're gonna have a great time. It's not gonna be anything that will cause you to like re-examine your life and change anything. But again, it never was supposed to be. It's supposed to be a fun little romp in the hay of fun Nintendo quirkery. And in that pursuit, it's pretty successful. I'm actually really pleasantly surprised. I was ready to go into this and just cringe my eyes out, but they've actually done a pretty good job. And I can happily recommend this to any video game fan. I think you'll have a good time. But with that, I'm gonna call it there because it's like midnight and my wife is probably mad at me for filming this. So I'm gonna call it there. Thanks for watching. I love y'all very, very much. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, ring the bell, blah, 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 cringe YouTuber call to action. I will see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye. All right.